Okay, well, for starters, we just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight in support of the Oceanside's Medical Marijuana Ad Hoc Committee. It's Memorial Day weekend, and honestly, we didn't even think about that when we booked the dates, so it's even more special. Okay. It's even more special that you could take the time out of your schedule to be here. Not all of the committee members could be here tonight, but the ones that aren't here, we're sure are with us in spirit. We also would like to extend a special thank you to Colonel Doug Applegate, in the back of the room, for taking time out of his busy schedule to attend tonight. Your support for medical marijuana as a treatment for PTSD is just one of the many reasons that we continue to support your congressional campaign as we work to flip the 49th. As many of you know, it has taken us quite a while to get this far, and we know that there's still a lot of work to do. This new committee is unprecedented and is comprised of local citizens with an interest in not only doing what's right for the city, but what's right for our local and regional patients throughout Oceanside and North County. We want to thank each and every one of them for adding this important task to their already busy schedules. We also want to thank Councilman Jerry Kern, who is not with us tonight, but we appreciate the fact that he called for this ad hoc committee and kind of got the ball rolling. If this committee is successful and garners the regulations we all seek, the entire city will benefit from the additional jobs, property taxes, and sales revenue. On top of that, they'll know that they have done the right thing for our ailing citizens as well. We have already done the legwork on this, so now your task is simple. Support the committee. Email, write letters, call, make appointments to speak with the council members that are not present tonight. While we look forward to Mayor Wood's return to the dais and his participation on this issue, he needs his rest and all of our well wishes for a speedy recovery. So we're going to ask that you give his office a break. With that in mind, we ask that you focus your attention on Council Members Esther Sanchez and Jack Feller. We need to remain steadfast and vigilant in our goal to bring safe access to Oceanside, and our council is going to be the key. Oceanside support for Prop 64 was a wake-up call for many. That 57% is proof that the social stigma behind cannabis is fading fast. More patients are coming forward to be counted every single day. But even before last November's vote, we had a champion in our corner, a council member who was affected by the patients who came to speak before the council. He listened to their stories and reached out to us with a thirst for knowledge, a willingness to learn, and a desire to help the patients. Fast forward a couple of years, and he now sits as the chair of Oceanside's Marijuana Ad Hoc Committee, showing up at events like this one. Look how far we've come. Here tonight to help bring us up to speed on the committee and tell us how things are going and what we need to do to be successful. It is my pleasure to introduce our Ad Hoc Committee Chairman and Deputy Mayor Chuck Lowery.
So I want to keep it really brief because I promised to keep it under 3 minutes. That actually means 12. So it is really important, like what Amber said, that we continue to move the process forward in the city of Oceanside. And we have 2 council members who are willing to support what we're doing here. One is Councilmember Jerry Kern, and I'm the other one. So 6 months ago, it was a solo journey that I would take every few months when we would try to get medical marijuana on the council agenda, and Councilmember Kern decided we should form an ad hoc committee. I have no idea what that means. So I Googled it, and it's a legal committee that is regulated by the state of California. And in the case of Oceanside, we have 6 months to come to whatever our conclusion is. So we've burned about a month and a half already, and we're moving pretty fast, in a fast-forward pace, although the legal situation is completely out of whack. Please, no selfies while I'm speaking. Unless I'm included, okay. Anyway, so the state is completely, they have lost their minds. They are scrambling to get regulations in place so that when January 1 comes around next year, which is when Prop 64 goes into effect, they will have things ready. But there's a problem, and that is they don't know how to handle the money. So that problem can be changed either by the state creating their own financial zone for us to work with, or for them to take millions of dollars in filings in cash, and they don't want to do that. So we are hoping, and that's why I asked Colonel Applegate to come here. I spoke with him earlier. We're hoping that the federal government gets a clue that we need to have legal banking systems in place to handle medical marijuana sales in the United States of America. Really not a big deal, but when you think of small cities like, let's say, Vista doing $2 million in cash sales a month and having to handle all that cash, we want to have this become an above ground, not an underground economy. I have two phones. These are my props. I have two phones. This one is my city phone. It can be subpoenaed. This is my personal phone. Currently, it can't be subpoenaed. This is the one that I have the Weed Maps app on. In case you're confused, this is my city phone. So when I discovered the Weed Maps app, I had a meeting with the city attorney, and I said, have you ever used Uber? Yep. And I said, check this out, Weed Maps. It looks just like it. I said, there's about 65 deliveries going on in Oceanside right now. And he's like, we're really busy already doing legal things. And I said, so this helped with the attorney because he got to see that it's much bigger than us giving someone a permit to deliver the product into Oceanside. So that concludes my 3-minute part. This is my real part. That's all. That was all extemporaneous stuff. Anyway, thank you for having me here this evening. The issue of access to I'm going to do what Amber did. The access to safe and pure quality medical marijuana in our city is one. You know all this. Why am I saying this? This is really a good story. I originally opposed the ban. I opposed regulating medical marijuana last year. I was on record in the newspaper saying, we don't want to regulate this, we want to keep it as a ban. And then we had our council meeting, and a bunch of people in this room came to that meeting. And they came in wheelchairs with and without their assistance animal. They came with walkers. They came with people who had to help them get into their seats. They were all ages. We more recently have had the young girl whose name is the same as my dog, Sadie, who lives in San Diego, who is 4 years old. Sadie's story is not enough to break the heart of someone who's hard. Her story is the doctors said, we have done all we can for Sadie. We can't do anything else. This is specifically what the parent, Brian Higuera, told me. He said, they told us that we would be her heroes if we gave her this medication that would kill her. And they thought, well, maybe we don't want to do that. We love our daughter. And you're hearing this story in the council meeting where it's like everybody's eating chocolate up there, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm on the edge. So I get teared up and very receptive and emotional when I'm hearing these kinds of situations. So she was there in the room, in the back of the room, and they had done medical marijuana for her 3 years ago. Was that when they started? Yeah, 3 years ago. She's with them now. They post pictures on Facebook. We're like Facebook friends. I always check with them when we have photos of Sadie that we'd like to use. And he goes, I already told you, yes, we're just checking. So we are using their photos in a piece that I did on local access television, not KOCT, sorry. It was Charter Communications / Cox. Yesterday we had 9 minutes. We just talked about medical marijuana. We're going to use pictures of Sadie to show that there's a lot more going on than people who just happen to have pain or have other conditions. That's what this is all about as far as I'm concerned. We have to make this something that's legal, and we still got some damn stubborn people here in Oceanside. But we did in November, we had the same number as the state average, 57% of the voters approved recreational. Well, all those people would approve medical also. He's coming up with a hook. See, this is the thing where they let you know you're almost out of time. First they move in on you, then they move closer. Yeah. Then the music goes on, it goes higher volume. And then you have to, ask where the edibles are. So, after seeing those people come to the council meeting, I understood the need to regulate medical marijuana, and that's what brought us here today. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the ad hoc committee. We started about 2 months ago, and these were small meetings that we had, and it's just so you'll know, it is legal for us to have meetings that we don't invite the public to, because even though we are an official body, we're not making any decisions, we're just finding data and we're turning it over to the official body. So please don't try to take us into court. So we are very transparent, and we have recruited a total of 5 people to be on the ad hoc committee, and we have also 5 focus areas, so we've kind of divided responsibilities by 5 or 6. And the focus areas are cultivation, distribution, dispensing, testing and consumer safety, and the finance banking area, the finance banking area. You know, I had that as a career. So anyway,
You missed retail.
it's all included.
Retail and sales.
Retail, that's under distribution or dispensing, one of those two. Everything must be told. Anyway, so Councilmember Kern has agreed to handle the cultivation component, and he is meeting with the San Diego County Farm Bureau already, and is meeting with the people in the agricultural neighborhood of Oceanside, which is that far back northeast corner called South Morrow Hills. And we are pretty sure that the people who are there are going to be able to influence the city council members who are very stubborn about this, because we believe that people who own 300 acres of property and have been doing business in the city of Oceanside for multiple decades might have a bigger voice than I do, because I've only been living there for 65 years. So, ad hoc committee regulations, yes. Councilmember Kern was a lifesaver when he suggested we do the ad hoc committee after I was shot down again in a council meeting. It was like, oh yes, I will do anything and work with anybody to get this to happen. So that's why we're again here today and asking you to pay attention. So we also had another volunteer, and that was our city treasurer, Dr. Rafe Trickey. He has proven to be an insanely supportive person. When he's out of the area on specific job-related tasks, he finds that there are these marijuana research things going on. So he went to a state of California in mini conference about 4 weeks ago, and is hoping to have them come down to Oceanside, but it's called the State Cannabis Banking Working Group, and it is in fact run by the state treasurer's office. And they had the State Board of Equalization on it, and those kinds of agencies are already working on this. And if they're interested, we're interested, and I hope that we can get them to think that banking is not that far out. But we are working to make that happen in Oceanside. We've talked to everybody already, so it has to happen on a coercion level. So if we can get it to be legal here, then we can at least limit the sales to the people who are legitimate, and we can start pointing out the people who are not following the rules, and then we can deal with our issues. So we just want to have everything in a nice, neat little package we can bring to the city council in September, I think is the date. November. We got the summer off. So I'm going to introduce the other couple members who, let's see, I only have one here. So another member is not here, Dr. Wendy Wheel. She's a professor and director of alcohol and other substances at San Diego City College, and a doctor of clinical pharmacy. And she's supervising all of our testing and knows everything there could be to know about the scientific approach, which we really need. And then we have someone who is more down to earth and experiential, and she's going to stand up and say hi.
I am? Okay.
Andrea France. Andrea is a multiple sclerosis patient advocate and medical marijuana user who will head up our retail sales component. That's why she was shouting out the word retail. Don't forget about retail. So anyway, in addition to that, I have 2 more people who are helping us on the ad hoc committee, and those are Don Green, who is around here somewhere taking pictures, hiding out. He's my council aide, and he does a lot of homework. And then Cliff Ireland, who is Jerry Kern's council aide, who is also doing a lot of homework. He had time today to go out and buy a new little cute sweatshirt, so we want to acknowledge that. Yeah, warm, yeah. So anyway, we are putting together a really great community program, and if you have any needs that you need to let us know about, please let us know about them. And I have an email address that is Dave and Amber's email address. I kind of stutter over it. Oceanside4asafercommunity.org. If you don't already have that, make sure that they have your name. And the city committee has an email address that is mmadhoc@ci.oceanside.ca.us. So you just have to go to the city's website. And you'll find it there. And you look for this thing that's a lot of, Madhawk at CI. Anyway, that's on the city's homepage. If you look around where it says city boards and committees, you'll find it under that, I was told. So,
Can we get Amber just to email it to us?
Amber, can you just email it to them?
We absolutely can make sure it's in the next newsletter.
Sorry, Amber.
Thank you. So I hope that everyone has given them their contact information, because what we will do is, as an ad hoc committee, we will activate you when it's time to really start the lobbying. And the lobbying will be not just sending emails. It'll be making phone calls, making appointments with the council members who need a little bit more information, and doing whatever it takes to make it happen. So whether you're coming from the left or from the right, we want to make sure that everybody has input, and that's why we're here. And I have a couple other items I have to mention. See, he's coming up to tell me what they are.
The ad hoc committee will create an email list so people can
Oh,
sign up
good.
and join.
Okay. Yes, the ad hoc committee is going to create an email sign-up page, so you can put your email address in that also. It's good to spread the information around. So I've got 30 other items I can speak on, but I only want to mention two. One is, I asked Colonel Applegate to come here because he is running for U.S. Congress. And he did last year, and he almost beat our local 16-year incumbent by, how much did he, 1,200 and, not very many votes, 2,000 votes, something like that. The first time in 16 years that anybody's ever come that close to Congressman Issa. So I think that this is off the congressman's radar because he's very busy doing other things like supporting the president's programs. And, but I spoke with Colonel Applegate, and he is very much supportive of making federal laws that make it easier for us to get medicine when we need it without having to be criminals and abused by the system. So that's why we're here, and that's why I brought him, and I haven't been authorized to introduce him to speak. So, no, I have not been authorized. I'm hoping he does, but I have to get the okay from the organizers.
Thank you very much, Chuck. This was an easy show up for me because we're coming up on Memorial Day. And one of the things that I've experienced, I've been a Marine since 1974. Thank you. And one of the things that I try to remind people of, and I don't try to say that much around Memorial Day, because I just think it's one of those things that it's an internal thing. But the one thing that I don't think people realize is you can go to the military and national cemeteries, but we tend to forget the veterans that come back with the wounds you can't see. And I saw a Vietnam veteran not too long ago say, well, to be honest, it was a corpsman. And he said, he was a Vietnam corpsman, and he said, most Vietnam veterans, if they're honest, when they're asked, when were you in Vietnam, they'll tell you last night. And one of the things that I used to think that when I first came back from Iraq back in 2006, I used to think that I just had an ability when I saw a client that had done something that was out of character for his past history, and there were a lot of Marines coming back and doing that over the last more than 15 years when you include Afghanistan. I could tell whether or not to ask, are you getting treatment for the PST? And what I realized was that I didn't have any special talent, although I grew up with my father who, before the DSM mentioned PST, he lived with it all of his life from the Ardennes in 1944 when he was wounded twice, but it was the sleep disorder. And one of the things that I think is very important, I know anecdotally, I've seen veterans be able to at least address the sleep disorder with the use of cannabis. Now, all we have are anecdotal reports, but I truly believe that one of the shortcomings of the federal law is that although opiates are a Schedule I drug, we have studied, Big Pharma has studied, all sorts of aspects of opiate use, almost to the extent that they should be held accountable for the raging opioid addiction that we now experience everywhere in the United States. But we have to set some changes in the law so cannabis can be studied, and we have a scientific basis to prescribe it, as Chuck said, so people can get medicine and they aren't going to be risking a criminal conviction. So I was very honored to come here tonight. I've seen a lot of friends, and I wish all of the Oceanside efforts well. I think it's a courageous thing for Oceanside to do. I think the people that are in the room that are stepping up are showing great courage. And I wish us all the best, and let's make sure we get this done. Thank you very much.
I have an announcement to make. I have a dog, and my dog was abused before I adopted her. Her name is Sadie, and she's about this big. And she's I got this issue of this magazine that's the pet issue, and I read the whole thing, and I found there was a product for nervous, scared little dogs. So I had to get her, a medical marijuana card. What? And, yes. And because I am not a medical marijuana patient, I couldn't just buy it for her. So I don't know how anybody's going to work in that marketplace, but I can tell you a lot of people have nervous dogs. Nara, who's over here in the corner, she is not a nervous dog. I said, "What's your dog's name?" "Nara." And Nara goes like this. Immediately, there was not a delay at all. My dog would be running off in the other corner. So I think this is a really important integration item for people to learn that their pets don't have to get stoned or have opioid addiction for being nervous. My vet recommended that I put the dog on meds, and I'm like, I'm not going to put my dog on meds. So anyway, think about that. I do not have, disclosure, I do not have a medical marijuana card for her. I had to ask someone who does have one to get this product for me that I read about in the magazine. So thanks for coming today. Thank you.
I just wanted to make a quick note. We have Colonel Doug Applegate here tonight, so I thought I'd go ahead and share a story. We met Colonel Applegate last year. We decided we were going to support Colonel Applegate because we believed he supported medical marijuana and Darrell Issa doesn't. So we showed up, he was doing a speech here in Oceanside at a house, and we decided to come there and see what he was all about, talk to him. And we listened to him speak, and he spoke, and he talked about unions, and he talked about this, and he talked about that. And after he was done, we were walking up. I said, well, let's go meet him. It's time. And I turned to Amber, and I said, I'm going to ask him about medical marijuana. I'm going to ask him about medical. She said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And we got up to him, and I put up my hand and said, medical marijuana veterans. Luckily, his military training kicked in, and he was able to understand what I was talking about. So we spoke about medical marijuana and how it could treat PTSD, and he seemed all for it. He said it needs, we need more testing. Of course we need more testing. We need this, we need that. But we left satisfied with what we heard, and we continued to support Colonel Applegate. It was then getting closer to the election time. A few weeks had gone by. Our business line rang. It's a soothing seed is our business. It's a nursery. Phone rings, Amber answers it like she does all the time. I'm over here working, and she's talking, and about 15 minutes goes by, and she's talking and talking. And then she writes on a little piece of paper, "I'm talking to Doug Applegate." And it's all about medical marijuana and the pending laws and cannabis, and I'm just thinking, you're kidding me. This guy's called us, our business, to talk about this? Very interesting. He came so close. But he's going to run again, which is great. So we caught him again. Yes, exactly. So earlier this year, he's in Carlsbad. We say, we'll stop by and we'll see Doug Applegate. He's so close. Say hi. At this meeting, it was a public forum type meeting, and you get to submit a question. So we said, okay, obviously we're going to submit that medical marijuana. And we want him to say it publicly. We want him to support publicly this time around, not just privately. So we'll submit our question. We got there, about 10 minutes goes into it. He's into health care, and then right into medical marijuana. We didn't even have to say anything or do anything. He's already a supporter. These are the type of representatives we need, and we want you to support them wholeheartedly. And with that, I will get out of here because we have gone far. We have come a long way. We have come a long way. And by the end of the year, we may be done. We'll see. We need you guys' support. Council is our key. We're missing a couple council members here tonight, so we know what we need to do and who we need to target. Thank you for coming. I want to thank Chuck Lowery, Deputy Mayor, our #1 supporter. Without him, we're nowhere. So, by all means, continue to support Chuck. He is our man. Thank you.